Before we start with this video, I'd like to thank everyone who has subscribed up to now. It's really fun to share my project with you and get some feedback. If you are new to my small channel, please consider subscribing. It doesn't take anything away from you, and it helps me out a lot. Okay, let's make a VR headset. So the last VR headset video that I posted was over a year ago. It got pretty good views, but I remember looking back on this particular design and thinking that there was a lot of improvements that needed to be made. It needed to fit better on my head, and it needed to be lighter. The battery was far too dense, and everything just was not packed correctly. So I decided we're going to revisit this, and instead of playing for Minecraft, we're going to use it for Lethal Company. So for a recap, our first design was this one piece of material. I had hot glued in basically all the pieces, and then I had a back plate. The side panels, these little indents, were for basically just hot gluing in all the electronics. It made it a huge pain to take them all out and clean them. So we need to completely rework this design entirely from scratch. As for this little guy, it's basically just an Adreno Micro and a radio. This can stay exactly the same, but for the most part, we're gonna need to 3D print some new stuff. And we're gonna take this opportunity for me to try out the new Bamboo Labs time lapse that I've never used before. This thing's awesome. Okay, we don't really need to look at the time lapse, I just wanted to show you that. So with my new design, the first thing I wanted to rework was the actual eyeglasses. These pieces of glass that are going to sit a certain distance away from our actual screen. Now, I'm going to print everything in multiple parts and kind of put them together in blocks. So what I designed here was basically a variable change for my glass lenses, and I'm able to increase the size, decrease the size, and get the range perfectly set up so that I'm able to align these little holes at the bottom, and when they're aligned together, I'll know that this is exactly where I need the glasses to be, and then I can basically measure that distance and be able to 3D print it once, not have any issues. There are some issues with what I 3D printed here. It's not perfect, but it got the job done. Getting some more shots of Bhouse Printer chugging along. This thing really is a powerhouse, and it makes my workload so much easier. What I'm 3D printing here is the first plate of the VR headset. This is where the display is going to go and a lot of the electronics. Here's a time lapse of the faceplate. This is actually what's going to be touching my face, and also what is going to be holding in the lenses. I really like watching this stuff. It's just, to me, it's mesmerizing. I've never been able to do time lapses before. Alright, last guy. You can consider this to be kind of like the adapter, almost. This piece of material is what we measured with our first product. The distance between the actual display and the lenses. This guy is that distance. Alright, so now we're going to be building the actual device. We're going to put all the hardware together. We're going to attach all the little bits of electronics. For the most part, this doesn't really need any, talking from me. So I'm just going to let real life Jacob take it away here and build the VR headset. Now it's time for everyone's favorite thing, wiring, specifically these electronics. I'm kind of speed running through this because it's mostly just me struggling with the wires. Not much for you to see. I will say this was a lot easier since I knew where everything needed to be wired up. Luckily, I had done this a year ago, and it was almost exactly the same wiring, so not much change there. Okay, everything is attached up. These things only need power and ground, and I already tested it with the 3.7 volts, so I know that they handle 3.7. Voltage in here, this guy is getting this one's getting 3.3 volts from the Arduino, and the Arduino is taking voltage in, obviously, from the battery. So we're gonna power this thing on, and everything should be good. Should go. Okay. That's lit up. That's lit up. The device is lit up, and as you can see, oh, you can't. That's powered on. Okay, so I am having some trouble with the wireless display adapter. As you can see, I have it basically set up right now. If you look in there, right, you can see Google. Hold on. Yep, Google right there. Pretty much good. And as you can see, this is how the actual screen is. So it takes this border and then they have to kind of overlay like that. So this is basically what my screen sees. I kind of have to duplicate it so that it fits. So if I'm playing a video game, I have to duplicate the video game onto that square and onto that square where basically Google shows. But as we can see here, this is the actual wireless display, and it has to run through a cable to this guy, which is not what I wanted to use. I wanted to use that instead, right? But I don't have a USB. I don't have the means to plug this part into. So it's just kind of stuck. So if I want to do testing on this, I have to just plug it into a battery if I want it to wireless, or I just have to use a wired HDMI cable while I'm doing my testing, and that's probably gonna be what I do. So I ran a higher battery through it, 7.4 volt through it, and I burned out the entire Arduino. So now I have to take it off and get a replacement. This thing is like $30, and it's completely ruined. I'm taking everything off because the battery doesn't fit into here, so now I need to 3D print a new housing for everything. I figured out the issue though with this guy. So it does require 5 volts to run through, and the first battery, the 3.7 volt battery, was not allowing the 5 volt pin to turn on, which was not allowing this guy to get 5 volts. It was only getting 3.7, and it requires 5 volts to send anything to a computer. So I needed to use this battery, and it blew up this guy, which is weird because the voltage in pin right here can handle up to 21 volts. So I guess it was old or something. I need to get a replacement. Okay, so here it is so far. I'm still suffering from the HDMI cable issues. Take a look-see. So I had to get this other battery to be able to hook up to the HDMI. I got everything else here to run off of that battery, but man, I'm really struggling with getting this wireless HDMI to work. All right, so we're gonna move on away from the HDMI controller. We're just gonna let it be on the battery. For the next time when we update this in the next video, we're gonna really try to figure out how we can fix that. But for now, we're gonna move on to the code. Okay, everything is obviously being used with Arduino. This is the Arduino microcode. This is what the receiver gets. I'm going to just explain a little bit to you. I'm not going to really go into the code at all. I'll just explain a little bit about what's going on here, and then I can show you exactly what is going on. So basically, the receiver takes 2 bits of data, all right, data 1 and data 2. This is the X data and the Y data coming in from the headset. It's going to read the data. It's going to map it to X and Y. It will then take the data of X and Y and map it to the mouse movement in the X and the Y direction on our screen. We have some clamping here so that there's no jostling around or disorienting for the actual user of the headset, which is me. It will then tell the mouse to move in the X and Y direction, and then it will just keep doing this and looping over and over again. Okay. Whew. Alright, we're gonna test this out a bit. Oh, Jesus Christ. Alright. Okay. So, I have basically everything's set up. Y, X axis. Now we need to try actually playing it a little bit. We shall see how it goes. Tight on the noggin. Tight on the noggin. Oh, okay. Oh. We're good. I can see the game. I need to remake this mask. That I need to change the tightness of it in certain spots. Either way. Whoa. Oh. Okay, it's offset. Okay, so if I start here and I turn in a full 360. Okay, I end up right back there. Okay, so the up and down motion's messed up a bit. See, I try going up and it doesn't get me past that point, but I go down and I'm here, so I guess I have to go down further. Okay, it's hurting the top of my nose, so I need to get something to pad it better. I've never played VR. I don't know if it is supposed to be like this. All I know is that it's weird. I'm trying to walk forward, and I haven't made the walking controls yet. Okay. I think this was a success so far. So next time we are going to create a walking controller and an interactable, and I'm going to change the mask so that it feels better, because that didn't feel necessarily too good on my face. So we're gonna make it feel better, and we're gonna add walking controls to it. I think that all in all, that would be that would be pretty good. And then we can play, and then we'll set it up so we can play we can completely play Lethal Company with our friends. So I need to charge my wireless headset. Okay, cool.